Welcome to My Success. This show is all about what it takes to be successful. Tune in for some great conversation designed for providing you with the best information possible to help you achieve your goals and dreams. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our vodcast, My Success. I'm Kim Martin, founder of I've Decided and host of the show today. We are so excited to have you join us. And I am here with my awesome friend and guest, Noele Tatlock from Unland Insurance. Hi, Noelle.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Oh, good today.
Good. Yeah. Well, we are in Peoria recording this podcast, and it has been raining for 3 days here, and we are soaked. But hopefully, wherever you are and wherever you're listening from today, on whatever day it is that you decide to listen to our podcast, it's sunny. That would be awesome.
Yes.
Let's hope for that. So we are going to discuss our weekly winning word today. So every week through I've Decided in our program, our members get a weekly winning resource. And that weekly winning resource is geared around a word, a certain word, usually a positive word, something that has to do with positive mindset, right? That's what we're hoping to do, to be the best versions of ourselves. And so we come up with these great words, and there's a new and different one every week. And this week, the word is receive. And so it was funny, Noelle, because I knew you were coming on today as a guest. And when I saw the word receive, I'm like, okay, so how are we going to turn the receive into something acclimated towards insurance?
Yes, I know. Probably difficult, but you figured it out. Kim can always figure it out, right?
We did. I think we figured this out because obviously we talk about the word receive. And when I talked about the word receive, we're talking about to give is better to receive is what a lot of people think, but we have to graciously receive. If we're giving generously, then we graciously receive, right? And we talk about the power of our thoughts and how we get what we're really thinking about. Are we open to receive what it is we're asking for?
Sure.
And so we really went about it from that mindset side of it. And so today, though, you guys, this show, you're going to want to listen to this whole thing because Noelle is going to give us a lot of great information about insurance. And what we want to know is, are we going to receive the benefits that we believe we have in our insurance policies? Sure. And so we feel safe when we have insurance. We feel like we should receive the benefits that we pay for, right? Sure. And then a monsoon comes, like what we've had in Peoria for Illinois for 3 days. Yeah. Our basements flood or something happens, and we go to file our claim, and maybe we don't have the insurance coverage we thought we were going to receive. Yeah. And so that's what this show is about today. Are you going to receive the benefits that you expect from your insurance? And Noelle is our expert when it comes to our homeowners policy and our automobile policy and our personal policies. Sure. You work at Unland Insurance.
I do.
And so I'll let you tell us a little bit about that. Sure. But when you and I were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, you were sharing with me about the cost of materials and how that is impacting our homeowners insurance. So, tell us a little bit about you, Noelle, and the insurance world and where you work. And then let's talk about the benefits that we hope to receive under our coverage.
So my name is Noele Tatlock, and I work at Unland Insurance. I am the division manager for the personal lines insurance, and so that just means that I handle all of the home, auto, umbrella, and some life insurance policies, but your life, or really your personal policies is what we talk about. So I guess is my hat that I wear. So. But yeah, what we were discussing a few weeks ago, it has really been a topic of discussion amongst ourselves at the office about how this is really having such an impact and I guess in more than just one way. So, for example, we talk about the increased costs. So how that impacts your home insurance is coming from a direction of the reconstruction value that's placed on your home. So I would say probably 90% or more of you watching would have a reconstruction value placed on your home. So you have different homeowners policies. Not all of them have a reconstruction cost to them.
Okay.
So that would be the first thing to find out. One, you do want reconstruction on your home. If it's your primary home, you have different policies that are handled a little bit differently. That would be maybe like rental policies, that kind of thing. So it is different, but I would say that if it's your primary policy, you want reconstruction on your home. So
you could have a homeowner's policy without reconstruction?
you can. So
wow.
we write those.
Okay.
Typically, it's not, that would be more of, say like a rental type situation. So you might be the landlord on a home and maybe you don't want the reconstruction on the home. You would be like more of maybe an agreed upon amount.
Okay.
That you would say, okay, if something happened to this home, it's a little bit, it doesn't have quite the bells and whistles that like your primary homeowner policy,
Okay.
you would think that it has.
Okay.
So that is really
You want to make sure you're receiving that benefit. Back to our weekly winning word. We want to receive the benefit of reconstruction on our home in the event that something happens to it.
Exactly. And so that would be the first step. So make sure that it is what we call the reconstruction on what they call is your dwelling policy. So that just means your home. So on the actual structure to the home.
Okay.
And so what happens is that dollar amount is determined by many, many factors, but usually the characteristics of your home, zip code, among a lot of other factors that make up that number. But what you'll find most of the time that year after year, if you're living in the same home, or even if you have a homeowner's policy year after year, you'll notice that your dwelling reconstruction will increase. And so you want to see that increase a little bit. And so most of the time you're going to see maybe that 2 or 3% of that dwelling reconstruction amount increase every year. And you want to do that just to help like keep up with inflation and the cost of labor. And so it's not just the cost of materials, but also the cost of labor as well.
Right.
So what we have been noticing and what's been such the topic of discussion are all of these increased costs with lumber and steel and, just everything that we have going on. So you're going to see that increase tick up from that 2 to 3%, maybe more to that 3 to 5%. And so depending on when your policy renews, if you do not have your policy renewing anytime soon, it might be a good idea just to take a look at it midterm. So you can make changes to your policy midterm. Most of the time you can. That's if you have any kind of change, you'll want to get with your agent to make sure that that's the case. But most of the time you can do that.
Okay.
And so sit down with them and just go through the characteristics of your home, things like square footage and, all of how many bathrooms you have, or the quality of the homes even makes the difference.
How many windows you have, the cost of windows. I mean, the process of getting windows is all of the construction work is so much more expensive right now because of, I'm not quite sure the reason, whether it's back ordering or labor cost, or is there
probably a combination. Really, I think it's just COVID has had such an impact on so many things, and so I think that really that's probably where a lot of it is coming from. Would be my opinion on this situation, but nevertheless, certainly something to be taking a look at, especially if you were to have, say, a home fire that would happen today, or tornado or something like that might happen. So again, you just want to get with your agent and go through the characteristics of the home that help make up that reconstruction cost. And so even things like your floor coverings, so that's different. Some people have, wood floors versus laminate. Well, the cost in that is a lot different. So if something were to happen, I always tell people, if you would be upset if something happened and you did not get that replaced, that would be a topic of discussion. So you certainly want to bring up those types of things.
So you want to make sure that your policy covers the cost to replace your entire home.
Correct.
For what you believe the value of it would be, to replace hardwood floors and not put in laminate floors, or to replace 4 bathrooms and and not 2 bathrooms,
Sure.
but like you want to.
So your agent really should be asking those questions to help gather that, because that's really, it's going to help determine what that is. It gets a little confusing because a lot of people want to place that number on maybe an assessed value. So this is not a number that maybe is being assessed on how your taxes are paid. This is not a number that is determined on what you can sell your home for. So this is actually on the reconstruction. So it's a little bit different of a number, and I think that sometimes that can get confusing for people as well.
Yeah, because
they
the
think that
reconstruction is going to be way
it's
different than
different.
what the value is.
Correct. Yes.
That is so interesting, and I
Yeah.
want to say this too, and I I feel that like a lot of people may have insurance online. Like utilizing insurance companies online for lower cost and things for whatever reason.
Sure.
Sometimes it's because you're not getting that service. You don't have an agent that's really acting as an agent anymore, in the traditional sense, right? But I know you've been an agent, and it's different for you and the service that you guys provide at Unland, but maybe you could talk about that a little bit too. Like, what about those people that really don't have an agent per se? How do they get help? Or can they reach out to someone like you or one of your agents at Unland so that they can at least get an estimate, a free quote, or someone to look at their policy to help them?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we do. And a lot of, most of the time, and I shouldn't say most of the time, because it is a mix of why people call in to get a quote. But price, of course, premium is a driver for that. A lot of times people will get their renewal notices in the mail. They'll see an increase, and that will encourage them to go kind of looking around. But nevertheless, a quote doesn't cost anything. We are an independent agency, so we do have the ability to shop many, many carriers versus a captive agent. So that would be the difference. So we can kind of take it to the market, and we have 10 to 12 carriers maybe that we can take a look at all at once, versus just one. And so that allows us to kind of narrow it down to the cost, of course, what your premium is going to be, but also your coverage, along with the responsiveness of that particular carrier on claims. And so those are all of the relationships that we kind of develop with those carriers.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
then you can say, well, their price is a little better, but we haven't had as much luck with them on their claims, or
Sure.
we've had to battle with them a little bit, or this company might be a little more expensive, but boy, they're really easy to deal with, and they treat their clients really great.
And it's really, and the other thing to know about, I oftentimes I talk about insurance kind of like a car, and that sounds silly, but in the fact that a car a lot of times will have different packages, right? So you have different packages with car. Very, very true in today's world on our home and auto insurance. So you may think you're getting a really great premium for something, but it's maybe because the package you don't have all the bells and whistles that you are thinking that you have, or that you expect to have.
Again, you're not going to receive what you expect to receive. And I think when we talk about receive, in the article that I put out this week, have you ever read the book The Secret?
I have not.
So it's the law of attraction. Okay, so it's you get what you think kind of thing, right? You need to ask for what you want. And actually that's a very biblical thing too.
Sure.
God says, ask and you shall receive, right? And Jesus even said, you have not because you ask not, right?
Sure.
So it's biblical, even in a sense, that we, what we ask for, we receive, right? What we think upon can be what we bring into, it's that whole law of attraction thing. So I talked about the 3 steps in there that they share in this book. I used it kind of just as a resource to write the article this week, and it says ask for exactly what you want. And I think about using this homeowner policy or your automobile policy. You need to ask for exactly what you want. You really should sit down and think, if this happens, what do I want?
I think that the other thing so it would be, in my world, it's an undelivered expectation.
Okay.
So that can happen at the time of a claim. And so that's unfortunately when we can't do anything about it. So I think it's best to have the conversation up front. And what I find when I sit down with clients, that they think that something, they just assume that the agent is maybe putting coverage on there, or they just assume that something is covered. And I really think it just even comes down to communication,
Right.
and talking about that, which is so important to have a local agent, and to have somebody that you can sit down and talk through these things, and make sure and ask questions. I love it when clients ask questions and really get into the detail of a policy, because then if there ever were to be a loss,
Yeah.
then there's that less chance of that undelivered
And don't
expectation
assume,
and upset.
and you might even assume, and I sit here and I think, of you, Noelle, you're so bubbly and friendly, and you're full of information. You've shared a lot of information over the last couple of years with us about our homeowners insurance and our automobile insurance, and educated us, which is awesome. It's one of the things we love about I've Decided, is having
Sure.
amazing
You can
business
have-
resources like you, to teach us and to educate us so that we can be better in every aspect of our life, so that not only can we be better in achieving our goals and dreams, but we can be better in how we manage our money and how we take care of our things that we own, and our properties, and so I just, but so I could easily assume that Noelle is giving me everything that I want, but you may think you are giving me everything that I want based on what I've said. So I come back to be very concise. When it talks about this in The Secret, right? The law of attraction. And in fact, this is what I put in the article. It says, for example, if you say, I want my life to be different. Well, that could mean
What does that
anything.
mean? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Narrow
So
it
you're
down.
putting out mixed vibes, right? So you have to say, that can mean nearly anything. So you got to say, I want a different job, a job that allows me to utilize my artistic ability. Specific.
Get specific in that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have a responsibility as individuals with our insurance agents to say, okay, Noelle, what I'm telling you is that I don't want to have to, I want to get what I want whenever, hopefully in the I shouldn't say whenever, in the unlikely event that we hope never happens,
Right.
but your home were to be destroyed. I have these beautiful hardwood floors, this beautiful Victorian furniture, or I don't, but I'm just saying. If you did, I have this couch that is $10,000. I want another $10,000 couch. Whatever it is that you love so dearly that you want to replace, that may not be recognized in that total package, because maybe you heard me say, I don't have enough money, I need a budget. And so you've given me a budget cost for the things that I need, but not over. So
yeah, it's really important to sit down and just have a discussion with the agent and really talk about what the expectation that you have. I think a lot of times that's the portion that gets left out. So then it's left up to assumption. And then at the time of loss, I think that's where a lot of bad experience happens, because the client, or, the consumer is under the impression that something is covered, and it really maybe wasn't. So there is that kind of gray area, and I think it can be summed up just by having a conversation, sitting down and going through a policy and talking about those expectations. And so we talk about the homeowners, the reconstruction of the home itself. There's some other coverages too to take into consideration on the policy. In today's world. And the other thing that we talk about too is the loss of use. So this is one portion of the policy that is a big deal, because if we were to have a loss, if a person were to have a loss right now, either just an isolated incident. So let's say, again, your home were to burn down. That's one home that has to be rebuilt. And we already know that it's difficult to come across those materials with just one home being built. Imagine if we had a catastrophe and we had another tornado come through, and now we have thousands of people that need that, what that would do. So this is where the loss of use becomes so important, because that determines where you stay and then how much help you get from the insurance company. So if you have a mortgage on your home, you still have to pay your mortgage, but you still have to pay rent somewhere. So that loss of use is so important, and most of the time it's a dollar amount or a term, either or, and you would need to ask specific questions for the agent to know. That could be a financial devastation to a family
Right.
if you run out of the coverage or the term, and if that were to come up, especially in the situation that we're up against right now with, materials being.
And it's taking, I know I had my windows replaced in October, and there were a couple of window screens that came from the manufacturer that had little holes in it. And the guy who did our windows, he got replacements for them. And as of April, they still weren't here. And this was in October. To the point to that, the guy said, I'm just going to build your screens. And he actually made me screens.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. He did. He had great service. If you want to know who it is, you can let me know. He's awesome.
That's amazing.
But he did amazing service, and you can't. It looks exactly. He goes, I can make them just as good, and they are. They're exactly identical to what came from the manufacturer. He goes, and if they ever come in, he's like, I'll bring them to you for backup.
And you can have them for
when they ever, and maybe one day they will.
Sure.
But so and then, so ask for exactly what you want. Believe your thoughts have power. And so this is kind of the direction we thought about going initially.
Okay.
And I know that some of you guys are listening to this podcast. Maybe you're watching the video, or you're just listening to the actual podcast on your Apple Podcast or wherever. But something in your gut right now is telling you you should check on your policy. You should look into this. And, that's a powerful thing. Your intuition is saying you need to look into it. And like we were talking about before we started recording, Noelle, how many times do you receive information? We're sitting here with an expert. She is giving us information. She's sharing with us what we really want to make sure we do with our homeowners policy and our automobile policy and all of our insurance policies, really. But especially today with our homeowners policy, with things going crazy with the materials and the labor, the timing, because the labor is really difficult right now. But anyway, so we're receiving this information, and there's something in our guts that's saying, I should check on this. But if you don't, it typically
it comes back. It shows up again.
Yes,
somewhere.
your thoughts have power. So it just it shows back up and bites you in the butt. And you're just like, I should have done that.
And especially insurance. I think that's true. That's probably especially true for an insurance policy, because who wants to do the insurance? Let's be honest.
No.
Who wants to do it?
It's nothing fun. No offense. I love you to pieces. You make it as fun as it.
Well, I try.
Noelle makes it as fun as it can be. But it's not fun, and it's cost money.
Yeah.
It costs you a lot of money, and it feels like it's just a bill.
Yeah.
And it is. But when you need it, you need it. And you do want to receive what you feel like you have. So if you're getting that feeling like you really need to check on this.
Especially now.
You want to check on it. It's really worth that. And then, the third thing is you'll receive then what you ask for. So then hopefully, in the unlikely event of a catastrophe or something happens to your home, and we pray that it never does, but things happen every day. And in the event that it happens, you can expect to then receive what it is. And maybe, here's the other thing too. You may decide you may decide that it's not worth spending that extra money, or maybe you just really can't financially bear that expense. But at least you will know. You won't have an expectation. So I love what you said. You won't receive an unmet expectation.
Yes, and I think that that is so, it could not be more true. And ultimately, I share with my client that we will walk through a policy. So to walk you through, Kim, what happens and the process is, so we go through an informational gathering process. I learn about, of course, a person's personal information that we need, but then also gathering that information, the characteristics of the home, when the home was built, all of that kind of information. Right. Once we have all of that, we sit down, we get some quotes, we kind of narrow it down to our most competitive. And then we either meet virtually, we talk over the phone, or we can meet in person, and we sit down and just walk through the policy and talk specifically about coverage, what it actually means to you, because that's the other, I know what it means, but what does it mean to you
Right.
at the time, right? So we talk about those kinds of things at the time of a loss, because really that's what we're discussing. So as I find it odd, almost in a sense, that my personality is completely different. I'm not really the negative thinker, although I have to think negatively. I have to look at every policy and think that something awful is going to happen. And if it is, how is this policy going to respond for this individual? And so, and just communicating that to you is what's
Right.
most important. And then we talk about, I make recommendations on coverage. And it's just that, it's a recommendation. You do not have to take it, of course, it's advice. You can take with it and do with it what you
Right.
would like. If you want it, great. And if you don't, that's okay too.
You
So,
receive
at
the
least you know.
information
Yeah.
and you know,
Now
and then
you
you
know.
can make an educated decision.
Yes.
And then your expectations will be met either way.
Yeah.
And you will know. It's one thing, I think, to go, oh no, we didn't get a policy to cover this. Remember, we made a decision to not spend that money, and now we know that this isn't going to be covered. Right?
Yeah, and then
It's one thing to know it's still a disappointment. You're still at that point probably wishing that you had made a different decision. However, it's another thing to 100% believe that you have a policy that's going to cover something and get on the phone and they go, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That flood wasn't covered. Or
So true.
you have a maximum out of pocket, for $150,000 for your $200,000 house, or the house that's going to cost $250,000 to rebuild.
Absolutely. I think we all know somebody that's probably had a bad experience with that.
That's true.
Unfortunately. And I think, again, it just comes down to understanding what it is that
Yeah.
you're getting.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, the definition of receive is to get something or be informed. Let me rephrase that. The definition of receive is to get something or to be informed or to accept. So I really feel that we have received great information from you today, and we've been informed about especially our homeowners insurance policy. And we've given you guys some information on this podcast, and I hope that you will take the opportunity to, if you haven't checked your policies lately, to make sure that you have the coverage that you would expect to have in the event of something happening, whether it be flood, water, house fire, tree falling on your house. I don't know, whatever it could. We had a tree fall on our house last year, so that's what made me think of a tree fall. That's where that came from. But all of these things happen, and you want to make sure you have that coverage. And so, Noelle, you're with Unland Insurance, and Unland is a business resource for I've Decided, and has been now for a couple of years, and we're so excited about that. You can find them on our website. If you go to ivedecided.org, you can click on business resources, or resources, and then the business resources, and you can find Unland and give them a call. You can reach out to Noelle and have her or an agent, someone there, look at your policy and take a look at it and let you know their opinion and give you some advice, right?
Absolutely.
Happy to do that for you guys. So we are grateful that you tuned in today. Noelle, thank you so much for joining
Thanks for
us.
having me. I enjoy it. And to Kim, I would add this doesn't just cover your homeowner's policy, but any commercial policy that you may have too.
Oh, yeah, business too.
Businesses too. So it makes a difference. So if you have a building involved, so it's not just homeowners, but it would be any of that as well. So I thought I would put that, and that's something we can help too with as far as commercial, any kind of a commercial.
Oh, that's very good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, if you haven't ever thought about joining I've Decided, I'd love to invite you to become a member where you can get all the pieces of the puzzle that you need for success. Whatever your goals and dreams are, what is it that you want to accomplish? We are here to help you make sure that you get what you want. So you can learn more about that on our website as well. Again, it's ivedecided.org. Check us out, check out our business resources, and we'd love to hear from you. So thanks for tuning in to our podcast today, My Success, where we come to you the third week of every month. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Noelle.
Thank you, Kim.
Awesome.
Bye.